It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Hare Krishna devotees, once again, I welcome you all in the early morning Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. We will proceed to the next session. I would like to personally welcome all the devotees that have joined here. If you could kindly announce your name for me, please. Haribol.
Please accept my humble obeisances to you and all that join. Jai Gaur Nitai. This is Hari Radha from Fairfax, Virginia, Washington. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Gurudev, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Wonderful to hear your voice. Please accept my humble obeisance, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. All glories to Gaur Nitai. Welcome to Early Morning Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Welcome.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavata Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvindaksh Das from Chicago.
Haribol, Arvindaksh Prabhuji. So nice to see you're consistently joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Prabhu. Please keep joining. Please accept my Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Welcome, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances to at your lotus feet, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. All glories to your wonderful services every day, Mataji. Welcome once again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavata Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyamaguri Devidasi from Charlotte. Thank you, Mataji.
Haribol, Mataji, my Dandavat Pranam at your lotus feet, Mataji. Thank you for gracing this. Thank you for hosting Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Please
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
You're too humble, Mataji. We have to learn so many things from you, Mataji. All glories to Guru Maharajas and the assembled devotees here, Mataji. Welcome once again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavata Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mata, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharajas ki jai. Thank you very much for joining this call, Mataji. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. All glories to assembled devotees. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Haribol, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, all glories indeed to Srila Prabhupada and all our Guru Maharajas, Mataji. Thank you very much for consistently joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Please keep joining. There was another Mataji I could hear from the back. Would you like to announce your name?
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavata Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Dandavata Pranam to all Vaishnava, Vrinda.
Haribol Mataji, Vrinda Mataji, my Dandavat Pranam at your lotus feet, Mata. Thank you very much for consistently joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. I welcome you once again here, Mataji. Devotees, we have to skip, I think, the further introductions because our very much awaited His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj has joined. So we will proceed to our next session, which is study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are going to study from Canto 5, Chapter 18, verse number 12. And His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj will enlighten us on that. Maharaj, my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Maharaj. Thank you very much for gracing this association. Maharaj, whenever you're ready, you may take the call over. Haribol.
I will read the verse and also the translation. I would request someone to read the purport. Is that possible?
Maharaj, I don't know, are you too close?
Yeah, your voice is vibrating.
Yeah, I think you might want a little bit.
Yeah, mic is.
We were not able to comprehend, Maharaj, what you were saying.
I think the same problem. We had the same problem yesterday. I have to get my phone and work through the phone and do it. That may take a minute or two, so maybe less than that, but let's see. Just give me a call and we can set up the phone connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you able to do what I just said?
Yeah,
Krishna Maharaj.
we can read the shloka, Maharaj. No problem.
Yeah, but is the clarity of my voice any better?
No, Maharaj. It's vibrating so much we cannot understand what you're saying.
How about now? Can you hear now?
Still the same, Maharaj.
Okay, I'll be right back. 1 minute.
Tipani Mataji, do you want to read the shloka?
Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yasyati Bhaktir Bhagavatya Kinchana Saver Gunae Tatra Samasate excuse me Suraha Harav Abhaktasyas Kuto Mahadguna Mano Ratena I'm sorry Mano Ratena Sati Davato Bahi.
Mataji, can I repeat the shloka?
Wait. 1 minute. We're getting set up here. Just be a minute or so.
Oh. Yasyasti bhaktir bhava janaha.
Wait. Don't begin.
Cannot understand anything, Maharaj.
Yeah, but just wait. 1 minute. Okay, go ahead, set it up.
Recording it.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Better.
Wonderful.
Clear now?
Absolutely clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll read the Sanskrit in translation, and then I would request one of the devotees to read the purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Akinchanam Savagunas Tatra Samastute Suraham Harava Bhaktasya Kato Mahagunam Manorvatena Satita Yato Bahi. Translation. All the demigods and their exalted qualities such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities. Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga, or the honest endeavor for maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be?
Sorry, Maharaj.
I think you muted yourself, Maharaj.
Accidentally. Yeah, because I thought it was some other device. Sorry, Maharaj.
keep it back.
No, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna,
Not
Maharaj,
clear.
can you please unmute the other device? The Rishabh Das device. That one is okay.
Hi Krishna, you hear me, devotees?
Yes,
Hare Krishna, now we can, yes. Thank
So
you.
just keep it on mute, and the volume from this has to be also off. So
Yeah,
and
can you
then-
disconnect Guru Maharaj's audio, Rishabh Prabhu?
yes, to disconnect. But
Yeah,
after time, it asks to connect. That's why.
Oh, okay.
So just keep it on mute, Maharaj. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Nothing else will happen.
Okay.
You have to keep it on mute. Keep it muted here.
So from my side, don't mute, don't change the unmute over here.
Yeah, so that's it.
Okay, so should I read the translation again?
Sure.
Did you hear it the first time?
We heard the beginning of it, Maharaj, but not the end.
Okay, I'll read the whole translation. All the demigods in their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities. Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or an honest endeavor for maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? So please read the purport.
Hare Krishna, I can read it for you, Maharaj. And the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As explained in the next verse, Krishna is the original source of all living entities. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15:7, wherein Krishna says, Mamam Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasastani Driyani Prakriti Stani Karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to the conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. All living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore, when they revive their original Krishna consciousness, they possess all good qualities of Krishna in small quantity. When one engages himself in the 9 processes of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasham, Sakyam, Atman Nivedanam, one's heart becomes purified, and he immediately understands his relationship with Krishna. He then revives his original quality of Krishna consciousness. In the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 8, there is a description of some of the qualities of devotees. For example, Sri Pandita Haridas is described as being very well behaved, tolerant, peaceful, magnanimous, and grave. In addition, he spoke very sweetly. His endeavors were very pleasing. He was always patient. He respected everyone. He always worked for everyone's benefit. His mind was free of duplicity, and he was completely devoid of all malicious activities. These are all originally qualities of Krishna, and when one becomes a devotee, they automatically become manifest. Shri Krishna Das Kaviraj, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, says that all good qualities become manifest in the body of a Vaishnava, and that only by the presence of these good qualities can one distinguish a Vaishnava from a non-Vaishnava. Krishna Das Kaviraj lists the following 26 good qualities of a Vaishnava. Number 1, he is very kind to everyone. 2, he does not make anyone his enemy. 3, he is truthful. 4, he is equal to everyone. 5, no one can find any fault in him. 6, he is magnanimous. 7, he is mild. 8, he is always clean. 9, he is without possessions. 10, he works for everyone's benefit. 11, he is very peaceful. 12, he is always surrendered to Krishna. 13, he has no material desires. 14, he is very meek. 15, he is steady. 16, he controls his senses. 17, he does not eat more than required. 18, he is not influenced by the Lord's illusory energy. 19, he offers respect to everyone. 20, he does not desire any respect for himself. 21, he is very grave. 22, he is merciful. 23, he is friendly. 24, he is poetic. 25, he is expert. And 26, he is silent. Hare Krishna.
Om Gyan Timiram Jana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pastyatya De Satarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Paebacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Could you please return to the purport? The second half of the purport where it lists the 26 qualities. Yeah, that's good. Right there is fine. So this verse is quite, it's a landmark verse because it shakes a lot of established ideas that within society, and that establishment is that, as the verse says, one who is engaged in devotional service develops automatically, as they follow the process of devotional service accordingly, good qualities. And 3 are mentioned: knowledge, renunciation, and there's one more that's mentioned: knowledge, renunciation, and I can't remember the third one. But the let's see, it's in the translation. Knowledge, renunciation, and religion, knowledge, and religion. In other words, they develop worship of the Supreme Lord. Accordingly, develop knowledge that is free from duplicity, and renunciation of everything that is contrary to spiritual advancement. Also in this translation, you'll find it mentions something very hard for people to understand or accept, that one who is not engaged in devotional service or engaged in material activities has no good qualities. So what does that mean? It's explained in the rest of the, because there are 3 material energies within the category of the total material energy, and that is sattva, rajas, and tamas. These are the 3 modes of material energy. These modes are, we call energies that, according to one's desire, as we desire in a certain way, we move the material energy according to the nature of that desire, and we connect with a particular quality and characteristic that is that identifies with a particular mode of material nature, such as within the mode of passion, a hard struggle to accumulate and to enjoy material activities. The mode of ignorance is activities that are detrimental to oneself and to others. The mode of goodness is somewhat enlightened, but still has the motivation of self-development, opposed from spiritual development or mind and body development. So here, these three modes, as Krishna explains in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, are never stable. They keep moving. Sometimes one mode is prominent, sometimes another mode is prominent. Sometimes there's conflict amongst the modes to become prominent. Sometimes two different modes mix with each other and give a combination of qualities and activities that are the results of the mixture. So what this verse is saying here is that when someone has material activities have no good qualities, that means they're not stable. They are always influenced by the changing of the modes. So a person may have good qualities under a certain circumstance, but then when that circumstance changes due to the shiftings of the modes, therefore, apparent good qualities that is seen within a certain circumstance is no longer prominent. But on the transcendental platform, when one develops good qualities, they are stable and they are not influenced by the changing of the modes, and they're the reflections of the soul's nature, as opposed to in the material world, they're adopted for one's further development in material life. So you can see the difference here. Even if a person is adept at mystic yoga, which is quite developed, mystic yoga is a very high form of yoga. It's better than jnana yoga. It's better than karma yoga. It's when bhakti and mystic yoga are together, and then that mystic yoga fortifies that bhakti. But mystic yoga without bhakti is somewhat more or less the yogis. They can do very great material feats, such as walking across water, flying through the air, taking bath in a particular holy place, and then rising up from that water 1,000 miles away from where they went underwater. So this is a lot of the magic or the power to manipulate the material energy and also to influence others. And the second one is not as glorious, an honest endeavor for maintaining family and relatives. So the word honest is there to give credence that even that is under as it says here, and the rest of it's driven by one's own ideas and speculations. So the external energy is not stable, and the external energy is engaged upon in order to further one's own personal interests. So therefore, at the end, it says, how can there be any good qualities in such a person? So because everything is in fluctuation, and time and situations take away a person's good qualities or maybe bring about the good qualities. But on the spiritual level, when one is fixed in devotional service, as it's mentioned here, according to the engagement of the 9 process of bhakti, the most important principle of bhakti is to hear about Krishna. Shravanam is first. There is a sequence in these particular listings of these 9 categories of devotional service. Shravanam, when it matures, leads to kirtanam. When Kirtana matures, it leads to remembrance of Krishna, or Vishnu as it says here. Then one wants to engage in worshiping the pure devotee of the Lord, Pado Sevanam, visiting holy places. Then we have deity worship, offering prayers, doing whatever service is needed at any time. Sakyam, Atman Nivedanam are on the spontaneous platform. They illustrate complete surrender in natural loving devotion to the Lord. So these 9 processes, there's nothing outside of these 9, and each one is very powerful. But just to qualify the listing in relationship to the present situation, that is Lord Chaitanya's teachings, and that is Kirtanam, is fundamental to all of these. And of course, Kirtanam, you can't have Kirtanam without Shravanam. So each one of the 9 processes starts with Shravanam and develops to the process of Kirtanam. And Kirtanam is foundational in each of the other 7 processes of devotional service. And what is the result? That one is coming in closer contact to Krishna through the activities of these 9 processes. Coming in contact with Krishna means developing the qualities that Krishna has in minute quantities. To give an analogy, just like if there's a fire somewhere in the distance, you can see the light, and you may even be able to feel some of the heat. But as you approach the fire, getting closer, the light becomes brighter and the heat becomes more intense. So as we make progress in devotional service, the light of Krishna's presence and the knowledge of the qualities of Krishna start to manifest into the body of the devotee. And therefore, Prabhupada here uses the example of Haridas Thakur. Even though he was persecuted in so many different ways, he remained tolerant. He remained well-behaved. He gave respects to everyone. He wasn't disturbed by that. He was always thinking of the welfare of others, and he was deep in thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and then we go to the remaining part of the purport, where these 26 qualities are mentioned throughout the Bhagavatam in different ways, but in at least 3 or 4 purports in the Bhagavatam, they are listed in order here. And so as one develops these qualities, and these are indicative of one's advancement in devotional service. And not if one develops these qualities outside of devotional service, it doesn't mean that they are glorious qualities, nor does it mean that that person is spiritual. Spiritual means within these 9 categories of bhakti, one has to be engaged in connection to Krishna. Hearing about Krishna and chanting about Krishna, remembering Krishna, serving Krishna, worshiping Krishna, praying to Krishna, visiting the holy places that were of the pastimes of the Lord, developing a friendly attitude towards Krishna in a natural way, and surrendering everything of one's life to the lotus feet of the Lord in devotion. So, and these qualities will develop in relationship to that activity, or these activities and 9 activities of devotional service. So it's incumbent and it's very essential that we read these 26 qualities, and each one of them has a particular explanation. We can, I'll briefly, because they are quite extensive here, there's 26. I'll briefly kind of summarize what they mean. He is very kind to everyone. It's not this material type of kindness, but the kindness of always thinking of the welfare of others. What kind of devotee is, when they come in contact to everyone, they're kind by nature, but they're always thinking how to benefit another. Does not make anyone their enemy. A person may make a devotee their enemy. We have the example where Hiranyakashipu made his own son his enemy. But and although Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, was trying to kill his son Prahlad never saw his father as his enemy. He saw him as just a big demon who was just misdirected in life and needed the mercy of the Lord. So, as Prabhupada illustrates in many of his lectures, a devotee may find people making him or her their enemy, but we don't retaliate in the same way. In other words, enemies and friends is mental speculation. In that same pastime, when Prahlad Maharaj was approached by his father for reciting the glories of Lord Vishnu to Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu became so angry. He said, "You're siding with my enemy." And Prahlad Maharaj's response was, "My dear father, the only enemy is your mind." So on the mental level, we make friends and enemies. So friends and enemies is a concoction of the mind. Therefore, a devotee doesn't make anyone their friend or anyone their enemy, but they are friendly to everyone and they don't make anyone their enemy. The third one, truthful. In other words, they recite scripture and they live according to scripture and they speak according to scripture and the values of scripture. Even in ordinary dealings, they speak the truth accordingly. Equal to everyone, they don't see one person to be more, they don't favor one person more than another person. They act according to the individual. They may deal differently with each individual, but according to the nature of that relationship, they are equal to everyone. They don't slight one and benefit another or vice versa. No one can find any fault in that person, so they are faultless. Those who find fault in them are only seeing their own reflection through their own mirror-like mind. They're magnanimous. They work for the benefit of everyone, not just for a few people, but and we recite that verse, Omagyan timidandasya ganajana salakaya chaksu unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swam Padantikam. Rupa Goswami didn't leave the area of Vrindavan, or well, you might say the area of India, but still his activities were beneficial to the whole world. Therefore, he is known as the most magnanimous. 7, mild nature. They are not unnecessarily angry or unnecessarily jubilant. They are mild by nature. They may be happy and express that happiness in different ways, but when dealing with others, they are friendly and mild. Always clean, inside and outside. Clean inside by chanting the holy names, outside by keeping fresh and clean cloth, keeping their areas where they live clean, keeping whatever possessions they have clean. Prabhupada said, not only clean, but revolutionary clean. If you could understand the level of Srila Prabhupada's teachings in terms of cleanliness, you would faint. Cleanliness is, I can walk anywhere in your house and I will not find one speck of dust anywhere. If you don't have that standard, you're not clean. So you might say, wow, Maharaj, now you're talking about the impossible. Of course, when you have children and you have others who don't have that same understanding, you have a problem. But from your own perspective, you keep everything as clean and spotless as possible. I won't name the person, but I know there's one devotee, when he goes to a place, he runs his hand over the top, if there's any dust there. One time he came to one place and they invited him for lunch, and the house was okay, but he said, I'm not taking prasadam here, it's too dirty. And so he asked the prasadam to be brought to another place. And so the cleanliness that is of the Vaishnav quality is not like the external cleanliness of the non-devotees' homes. It's really way beyond that. So cleanliness is very, very important. And if you keep everything clean, you will hardly ever find yourself becoming sick or disturbed by the environment. Number 9, without possessions. That means without things that are not needed. They have their possessions, but only what is necessary to keep body and soul together. Number 10, works for the benefit of others. That's also similar to number 6, magnanimous. Always thinking of the benefit of others. Very peaceful, not disturbed by happiness and distress, always satisfied within themselves. Always surrendered to Krishna, whatever Krishna has dictated, whatever the spiritual master wants, they make that their focus in their devotional service. Has no material desires, that's self-explanatory. Very meek, as it says in the Bible, the meek shall inherit the earth. So therefore we find in many religious scriptures that those who are humble and meek, the kingdom of God becomes their rightful heir. One is steady, not disturbed by the changing situations, always engaged in devotional service under all circumstances. Controls the senses. This is very essential in order to work in a beneficial way. Ones whose mind and senses are controlled, the super soul is already reached. Happiness and distress, honor and dishonor, heat and cold, appear to that person to be all the same. Does not eat more than required, not too much, not too little. Krishna mentions that in the Bhagavad Gita, that one should eat just what one is required to keep body and soul together. That will differ according to the individual, of course, and according to one's conditioning, sometimes more or less, but in that sense that Prabhupada gave the yoga, the yoga formula. He said the stomach should be half filled with food, 1/4 filled with water, and 1/4 filled with air. So after a meal, that should be the state of the stomach. I can explain a lot more in that, but that requires a lot of time. But that's generally the formula. Number 18, not influenced by the Lord's illusionary energy. They can see Maya coming. They understand how Maya is working. They're not affected by that. Offers respects to everyone, similar to some of the other ones. Gives respects to all. Trinadapi Sanichena Tayor Ivasa Hishnuna Amaninam Amanadena. Offers respects to anyone. And the next one does not desire any respect for themselves. These two qualities and very meek and tolerant are the fundamental qualities as illustrated in the Lord Chaitanya's teachings for devotional service. If we develop these four qualities, humility, tolerance, respect for others, and not wanting respect for myself, then the result is kirtaniya sadanahi, that one can chant the holy names of the Lord continuously. Very grave. Grave means they're always
Hare Krishna Maharaj, we lost your audio again.
Hare Krishna. Okay. No, Maharaj is unmuted.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna, we can't hear you. I don't think he can hear me either.
Yeah, he can't hear us. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Okay, now he's muted that device.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, just making sure because this is a little unsteady here with this phone. Merciful, similar, working for the benefits of others. In other words, if someone needs something, praise for some. In other words, they try to give blessings and benedictions to others, not in a presumptuous way, but in a way of always thinking how others can be benefited. Friendly, devotee is friendly to everyone by nature. They come in contact with others, they're friendly. Poetic, this is a quality that develops in devotional service, that as one makes progress in devotional service, one develops the poetic quality. I was just thinking of something to say poetically. Would you like to hear something poetic?
Yes, please.
Yes, Maharaj.
You sure?
Yes.
Yes, Maharaj.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is something that I came up with. His name is Balarama. He's better than Obama. What to speak of Osama, he'll take all of your karma and bring you to the holy Dhamma on the ultimate parikrama, Jai Balarama. So we practice sometimes poetry. Okay, 25. Expert. Expert, that means whatever they do it in the best way possible. And number 26 is silent. What does that silent mean? That doesn't mean he doesn't speak. It means he speaks only. It says that means to speak truthfully, beneficially, avoid speech that offends, and recite the Vedas regularly. That is the quality of silent. And when it comes to materialistic topics, they are silent. And these are the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava. And one should, it's important that devotees read these, think about them, and they actually try to practice them as listed here. And then you'll see, as you practice them, along with your devotional activities, you'll see these qualities will start to develop naturally, both through the process of bhakti and the emphasis on the qualities like that. Okay, I'm sorry my voice is a little gruff because I'm not able to have a slight head cold, and therefore I'm not able to clarify some of the wordings when I speak. So I can stop there and we can go on to the next situation.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. What a wonderful explanation, especially about the 26 qualities. And fantastic poem, Hari Bol. Very nice. We have some questions from devotees. If Anuradha Mataji, if you would like to unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the beautiful, beautiful class and beautiful poem, Maharaj. Maharaj, we missed you when you were saying about grave. So who is a grave?
Grave, it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna mentions the austerities of the mind. He mentions austerities of the body, austerities of the mind, and austerities of speech. So when he talks about austerities of the mind, he talks about gravity. A grave person, you cannot tell what they're thinking. They're deep in their thoughts, and they're usually contemplating Krishna consciousness, some spiritual subject matter. It's a very exalted quality because it allows one to stay connected to higher consciousness. Gravity should be practiced, and it's one of the more important qualities, and it's called the austerity of the mind, to practice gravity. So I'll give you an example of how gravity may be played out. So you read something, and then you think about it. And then you think about it not only from the way it's being read, but from different angles of vision. And then you contemplate what this may mean in relationship to different situations. So that's a symptom of a person acting on the principle of gravity. Deep in thought.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you. That was wonderful explanation. Very grateful. Please accept our humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj.
My obeisances to you. Hare Krishna.
Tiffany Mataji, I see your hand raised. Would you like to ask the question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the wonderful class. I'm so happy that I didn't realize until this morning that the verse was about, talked about the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava, which I've been kind of meditating on lately. So thank you so much for the class. And thank you, Anuradha Mataji, for asking about gravity, about being grave, because I wanted to hear that as well. I just had one question. You mentioned that mystic yoga can fortify bhakti. Is that what you said, fortify? And if so,
it can support bhakti, yeah. I mean, that means one can do really wonderful service to Krishna with that mystic power. But if it's bhakti is not there, mystic yoga in and of itself, it will lead to material activities. No, high grade material activities, but still material activities. Yeah. Okay. So mystic yoga really means some of the characteristics of the Ashtanga yoga system, which are asanam, which is a foundation for that, dharanam, pratyahara, pranayama, drilling the respirations, various types of yoga exercises that raise one's consciousness above the material and help to get one material powers. Mystic yoga really means about material powers. Well, so if you have those material powers, then you use them in devotional service and can do some amazing service.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you for the class. It's wonderful to see you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can we see some of the other devotees? Can they turn on their cameras? Because we really like to be in association with everyone. So we request the devotees to turn on your cameras. As much as possible. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, devotees. We have Babu here. He has a question for you, Maharaj. Babu, would you like to go ahead, please?
Mm-hmm. Where did he go?
Trying to find
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, okay.
We just missed one thing before merciful. I think you were muted at that time, but very good lecture. You mentioned about cleanliness and gave example, and Prabhupada also mentioned cleanliness is next to godliness. So many times he repeated that. And we just missed one point before merciful, I think. If you can just cover that part, that was one quality.
Merciful, then...
No, before merciful. I think before merciful, you just got muted at that time.
I can't see the verses, so I'm not sure which quality that is. So before merciful is very grave. I think I just explained gravity just now to Anuradha. She asked. Did you hear my explanation on Anuradha's question?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, that was grave, right?
Good. Thank you then.
Okay, thank you.
Rupini Mataji, please go ahead, Mata.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories unto you. Thank you for such a wonderful class, Maharaj. I had one question regarding people who do meditation in this age of Kali, and then they feel, that is the right path. So do they eventually take up to devotional service, or, it would be like multiple births because they're already doing meditation?
Well, it can lead to devotional service, but then it cannot lead to devotional service. The meditation has to be on Krishna or one of the forms of Krishna. Meditating on Krishna's holy names, meditating on his forms, his qualities, his pastimes. Excuse me. These are all forms of meditation. But then again, in the secular world, people are practicing a type of meditation that is impersonal, where they try to silence the mind and go into a kind of stillness within themselves. But that's not possible because the mind is always active. It can't stay still for more than a few seconds. So that kind of a meditation is really not recommended, nor is it devotional. But people who practice meditation can be instructed that actually the real meditation, or the successful form of meditation, is to meditate on the form of the Lord. And that meditation will awaken within their consciousness the happiness of seeing the Lord within their own meditative trance. But they have to practice that too. So we give them credit for the fact that they want to meditate, but we have to direct that towards Krishna.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. Because the reason I'm asking is my father has been practicing for so many years. It's been like 15, 20 years. But I just want to know, like, where will it lead him to? So he knows that I'm practicing this. But I mean, if he's not going to take up devotional service, so what will, will it eventually happen, or it will be lifetimes? So that's,
what is he meditating on? Do you know?
Yes, he meditates on, Krishna, he says, but I don't know. They close their mind and I don't know. So
if he's meditating on Krishna, that's devotional service.
But it's like, it's not chanting, right? There is no service involving. It's just meditation, right? You sit and do, in a quiet place.
Well, we have to give him credit that he's meditating on the right thing, but the actual process in this age is meditation on the transcendental name of the Lord, which leads to a qualitative meditation on the form of the Lord. There's a progression in meditation. From the name comes the form, from the form comes the qualities, and from the qualities comes the pastimes. So when one becomes proficient in meditating on Krishna's name, Krishna's form automatically, and I use that word, automatically appears in their minds through the meditation on Krishna's name. And as that form develops, then Krishna's qualities become the form of meditation. And the highest form of meditation is to meditate on Krishna's pastimes in Sri Vrindavan Dham. So whatever level he's at, it's some element of bhakti, but need to go further.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Excuse me. Hare Krishna. Okay, so anyone else?
Devotees, any last minute questions? Oh,
we have Indulekha Prema Mayi. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances to you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your wonderful class. Blessed to be able to associate with you. My question was, in Vanaprastha Ashrama, Prabhupada explains in Bhagavatam how they have to leave everything, go to a distant place, and even not take care of their bodily needs, like don't cut the hair, nails. They're just wandering without anything. So I understand in this age it was meant for the previous yugas. So in this age, Kali Yuga, how would we conduct ourselves in Vanaprastha Ashrama, Maharaj?
Yeah, this has been a topic of discussion. I was at a very interesting assembly of senior devotees, and we discussed this in Mayapur a few years ago in order to kind of give a foundation or a clarity on Vanaprastha, because there is no clarity in as you mentioned, what's mentioned in the scriptures is really applies to a different age. But in essence, Vanaprastha means to dedicate one's life to the service of a particular deity and remain into that deity and serve that deity to the rest of the remaining part of your life. So one can go in a holy place and do that. Women can put on white and go to Vrindavan and stay there. You go to Vrindavan, you see many of these ashrams with ladies who wear white. They're renunciates. And the idea is to get out of the particular household situation and focus more attention on Krishna and devotional service. One can do that even from home. One can make the deity of one's local temple their Istadev and then serve that deity to the rest of them. So that's a type of vanaprastha that is recommended in this age. Now, for those who are serious about executing that particular ashram, or then best thing is to talk to people who are on that level, who are actually practicing it, and they can tell you all the dynamics that more or less are there. But it's not clear. I can only give you that one essential principle. Dedicate your life to a particular deity and serve that deity until you leave the world.
Okay. That was very helpful, Maharaj. Thank you so much for your explanation. It brings some clarity to my mind. Thank you so much.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Nina, how are we doing?
You're doing very well, Maharaj, with your blessings. Everything is great.
Is there anything else to? Do we have any more devotees that want to speak?
We have Namrata Mataji. Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Just the follow-up from the last question. You were saying about the deities. One should serve a particular deity in the Vanaprastha ashram. So deities, as in, if it is Radha Krishna, then it would be in the Madhurya mood. If it is Bal Gopal, then it will be in Vatsalya mood. So does it refer to do bhakti in the particular mood in the Vanaprastha ashram?
Well, that has to be clarified by the spiritual master. Knowing the devotee and the situation the devotee is in, and their tendency for worship, and their previous history in devotional service, and that guidance is required to take the next step. So it's also part of one's identity in the spiritual world. So yeah, I think that requires direct discussion with the spiritual master in order to clarify everything and to get an understanding on how to proceed. But when you worship the Lord, you can worship the Lord in any of the different rasas. It doesn't necessarily mean, Krishna Balaram are, they're in Sakya Ras. Baby Krishna is in Vatsalya Ras. And, Radha Krishna is Madhurya Ras. But that's between them. Our relationship with them could be of any of the rasas. Any of the major rasas, that is. So that's an advanced stage of bhakti, and therefore requires careful consideration and discussion with the spiritual master.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
I can't go into details because the details are too subtle, many of them.
Yes, I understood, Maharaj. I think there are many questions related to it, but I think that would be a personal discussion required according to the individuals, I guess.
Maharaj, I think you muted yourself accidentally.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's see.
Let's see, any questions?
I'm still available if anyone would like to discuss more.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, I have a question, which is it's a general question. Can I ask?
Yeah, excuse me, if I'm coughing, it's just something that I have to deal with here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Please.
Maharaj, actually I have this question for a long time because we are celebrating the Kartik month as Radharani month, and that is favorable even for Krishna. But Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says that Margashisha month is most favorable for him. So I just want to know, why is it so? When Krishna is saying Margashish month is favorable to him, but we are celebrating Kartik month. So Kartik month, okay, it's a month of Radharani, so we are celebrating. And Margashisha month, why Krishna is saying that it's favorable for him? I want to know about.
Well, not sure I can answer your question. But, well, before you can get to Krishna, you have to go through Radharani. So her month is first. The next month after Kartik is Magashirsha. You can use an analogy for that. I'm not sure. Well, the analogy is that you're preparing yourself for the ultimate. And Radharani takes you to Krishna. So Krishna says, at months I am Magashirsha. Yeah. He doesn't say why he's Magashirsha. But all we can see is that it follows Radharani's month.
Okay. So we can take in Margashisha month is Radharani's month. So that's what you're saying?
Kartik month is Radharani's month.
Yeah.
Kartik. But
the gopis of Vrindavan, they performed vrat for Krishna on Margashisha month.
Yeah.
Maharaj?
It's also the month of harvest, right? It's the harvest month.
Yeah, month of harvest. Yeah.
So harvest means to get the benefit of everything that you've done. So we're harvesting our bhakti when we get to Krishna.
Okay.
We can use that as an analogy.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you.
So
Hare
by
Krishna.
harvesting from the year starting, then we can get Krishna by year end in Radharani's month.
Yeah.
So that can
but
be the analogy.
but don't tell that to the Brijabasis, because they won't agree with you. they say Radharani's the highest, not Krishna. Krishna's second.
Yes.
We only worship Krishna because Radharani worships Krishna. Otherwise, we're interested only in Radharani.
Okay, thank you so much, Maharaj.
That's the Brijabasis. Well, that's the what is it? The Varsana Basis.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I'm getting some interesting questions today. This is really, thank you. I'm really inspired by the intricacies of these questions. We have Sri Hari Radha Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances, Maharaj. I have a question, but it is not related to the class. May I ask you?
Please.
Okay, my question is that we grew up hearing your audio Bhagavatam and other classes of online that have been audioed. on YouTube and other channels that you've done, like the Bhagavatam verses, and translation reports. So what I wanted to ask you, is there any way I can get that seva also from you?
You would like to get the recordings of the lectures? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking if when the book is open and you read the book and you audio it on your site, like how you do it, can I be involved or engage in that seva too by you?
I'm not understanding exactly your question.
I'm saying book reading audio.
Book reading. Oh, you mean just reading from the book?
Yeah, it's reading from the book, like you read from the book and you audioed your voice. That's what I would like to do. Can I be engaged in that service by you? That's what I'm asking, in the future or in the present, if you may allow me.
Oh yeah, sure. Of course. That's a nice service to the devotees. Yeah. Read, and you can also read and then try to read the commentaries given by the acharyas on the verses that you read, and then you can you can read Prabhupada's purports, and then you can even speak something.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, nice service.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo, Sri Hari Radha.
Dandavat Pranam. Jai Sri Radhe.
Jai Sri Radhe. Okay, so looks like we have exhausted our prashnas, right? No more prashnas.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj, like I just got one question. So when we discuss about these qualities, so in some proportion on and off, like both devotees and non-devotees have these qualities. So does it mean that when we say that Vaishnava manifest all this quality, it means that it's in full, like consistent all the time? Does it mean that?
It's not necessarily, but what the verse is saying is yes, yeah. Yeah, but it's a process of development. You can be grave, you can be more grave, you can be merciful, you can be more merciful, you can be kind, you can be more kind.
Right.
So each of these qualities can develop, exponentially, and not unlimitedly, but up to a certain point. As it says, these qualities are in minute quantity in relationship to Krishna, who has these qualities completely in full. That's where he's called Bhagavan. Yeah. So it's not like you get to a certain point. No, you can develop it more and more.
Yeah, because I was like getting confused that some non-devotees also exhibit some of these qualities in some proportion. So how do we see that devotees? So like you answered, I understood that the devotees try to get it to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. So that is what the differentiation between devotees and non-devotees is. Is that correct?
No, the difference is that one is engaged in devotional service and one is under the influence of the material energy. That's what the verse is saying. Under the influence of the material energy, these qualities are not stable.
Oh, okay.
They can be lost in any situation. One can be kind, but then the situation changes and they can be something different.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The material energy keeps changing. Therefore, those who develop these qualities in relationship to material activities, their qualities are also mutable. They're always changing. Also. Can always change.
Right. Right. Yeah. So for a devotee, like these qualities won't get influenced by the modes of material nature. So that's where the difference is. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Now I make the connection. Thank you so much, Maharaj. It's clear now. Thank you.
Hare Bol. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Ho. Thank you, Vamsi.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavat pranams. Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, I can. You're audible and viewable.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you. Thank you so much for your very wonderful association. So Maharaj, can you say something more about how to practice cleanliness? I know, I mean, we have seen you, and also Srila Prabhupada mentions that, but it's always like a very high standard. We want to go to that.
Prabhupada taught us how to wash the floor too. He got down on his hands and knees and showed the art of how to wash the floor. If you're washing the floor with a mop, you're not cleaning the floor, so throw your mops away. All you're doing is pushing the dirt from one place to another. You catch a little bit of it, you don't get it all. And so washing the floor means getting down with a bucket, 2 buckets, and putting the water onto the rag and washing it, and putting the rag in the other bucket, squeezing it out and drying it, and then going to the next section and doing the same. And then the floor is clean and dry when you're done. That's floor cleaning. If you want to learn more of the intricate art of cleanliness, look behind things, find the dirt, and don't just clean what you see. Yeah, then we call them surface cleaners. But then again, you move that furniture and you find there's a whole colony of insects behind there who have been there for like 2 months. So, yeah, so cleanliness, keep your house very clean. If you have a big house, it's hard, but it's still important to keep everything very clean and spotless. Cleanliness is it's one of the 2 most important of the Brahminical qualities. Out of the Brahminical qualities, truthfulness and cleanliness are considered to be the 2 most important. So Prabhupada said, yes, our temples should be revolutionary clean. He said, beyond what is normally understood as cleanliness. So practice that. Keep everything. If you have too much stuff, then it becomes hard to keep things clean. That's another way to make it difficult to keep things clean. Have a place for everything and everything in its place. Like that. And Prabhupada was very strong in this. He criticized us quite heavily for, because in the scriptures it says that in each of the ashrams in Kali Yuga there is a defect. And in the ashram of the brahmacharis who live in the temple, the defect is that brahmacharis are unclean. I'm not trying to criticize, but if you go to any brahmachari ashram, you'll know what I'm speaking about. So, yeah, so I know one temple where they just give the brahmacharis a little space to keep their stuff, and anything outside of that space, that's too much stuff, therefore they have to get rid of it. So, and that fortifies cleanliness, simplicity, like that. So practice cleanliness like that with taking one should take baths regularly every day. It says that actually it says for brahmachari should bathe once a day, grihastas twice a day, and sannyasis 3 times a day. Prabhupada said if it's not possible because of health, then at least once a day. He mentions, let's see, what was it? Oh yeah, in the 7th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, verses, 7th canto, chapter 12, I believe, verses 8 through 12, is the 30 activities of the human society, and one of them is to take baths twice a day. So, but at least once a day in the winter time. Usually when it gets hotter weather, you can usually twice a day like that. You're looking for that verse. It's 4 verses in one. Let's see, maybe, no, it's, I'm sorry, it's not chapter 12, it's chapter 11. I'm sorry, yeah. Chapter 11, 7, 11, 8 through 12, yeah. This verse is the basis of Varnashram. If you want to know the basis of Varnashram, this is the verse. Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, these 30 qualification words, it mentions something of bathing twice a day at the very top of the page, you'll see. These are general principles to be followed by all human beings. So if you study this, then you can understand how Varnashram needs to be implemented using these 30 principles here. Yeah. You'll see throughout the scriptures there are many verses that emphasize in a very serialized form the qualities and characteristics and activities of a devotee. And so putting a lot of emphasis, because you'll see some of the other spiritual groups in the world, they don't talk so much about behavior or activities or things to do and things not to do. All they're interested is getting people to do certain spiritual activities, and they don't restrict people as far as personal activities are concerned. But our movement is not like that. There are things that we have to do and things we have to avoid. Otherwise, we can't worship the Lord in the proper consciousness.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. That's something really to meditate on and put into practice as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so
we have Aruna Mataji. You may go ahead and ask your question, please. Aruna Mataji, I see your hand raised. Do you have a question for Maharaj? Maybe not anymore. Devotees, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I tried to unmute her. She's not unmuted, Mataji.
So maybe by accident.
If no one has a question, we can leave. We don't want to keep Maharaj waiting, from a long time.
thank you. I'm running out of energy, so.
Yes, Maharaj, you need to eat your lunch.
Well, it's just because I'm sick. I don't have any energy, but so I think it would be good if we can stop here.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we'll see you again very soon.
Yes, Maharaj.
Thursday is my favorite day.
Our favorite day too. Yeah, let's bear obeisances to Maharaj. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu evacha patitanam
Namo Namah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Pura Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Maharaj.